Professor Laura Tyson of the Haas School of Business at Cal Berkeley, also a member of President Obama's Council of Jobs and Competitiveness, also President Clinton's former national economics advisor. Thank you so much for your time today.
Fine, pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, now, Premier Wenjabal was not using a pun saying get your houses in order. We have the House of Representatives that perhaps needs to get in order a little bit. Mr. Obama would say that. What needs to be done from the president's side, from the executive office, to instill confidence again in an ever-sinking U.S. dollar?
Well, I think when I think about houses in order, I actually think that there are several houses. I'm reminded of the financial crisis in the U.S. by events in Europe right now. I think it's really important to underscore that as a result of strong action between the Fed and the Treasury, we have resolved our financial crisis in the United States in terms of the banking system and credibility and confidence and understanding of what's going on there. Second house in order is the economy is growing very slowly. The recovery is anemic. The unemployment rate is very high. I believe, and many economists believe, that the right thing to do right now is to have some additional fiscal support for the economy. That's the president's jobs plan that he talked about just last week. The third house, of course, is the long-term deficit house. And of course, next week, the president is going to be announcing his proposal for a long-term plan for deficit reduction, which actually would pay for, in the future, the job support measures now. So I think you have to think about, we have numerous challenges. A challenge that I want to underscore we have addressed effectively through TARP, through the stress tests, through really standing behind the U.S. banking system. We've resolved the financial crisis. We have to deal now with slow growth, recovery, and long-term deficit.
Has it really been conveyed properly to the world? China is very concerned about excess liquidity coming out of the United States in the form of any proposed quantitative easing 3 and a continued devaluation of the dollar.
Well, first of all, I think it's important to say that one of the things that will be an adjustment mechanism throughout the global economy going forward is adjustments in exchange rates. I mean, that's one of the variables. Now, it is true, and I think China understands this, the U.S. doesn't have a dollar policy. We have a policy to address what we think are the right things to do for the U.S. economy. We believe that a stronger recovery in the U.S. economy is not just in U.S. interest, but in Europe's interest and in China's interest. QE3 is one mechanism, along with an American jobs plan, that has helped, can help, should help the U.S. economy recover more quickly. How
quickly can it help, and how quickly does it need to help Mr. Obama, who's really under the attack from the GOP as they ramp up their rhetoric as well? Jobless rate hovering near 10%. No U.S. president is going to be reelected with that type of jobs performance.
I don't think we should speculate on the election. It's several months away. What the president said when he talked about the jobs proposals is the American people do not want to wait for a response from the government until the election. That is letting the American people down. That's a failure of leadership in the Congress not to address the concerns of the American people right now. The president's proposal had bipartisan measures in it. They are measures, if you go right down the list, all of the major measures are things that have been supported by Republicans before. So if they block this, that's a political action. It's not responsive to the needs of the American people or the American economy right now.
Putting on your hat as the Cal Berkeley economist and professor, do you see continued dollar weakness, continued gold strength, continued obvious internationalization of the yuan, and potentially as a reserve currency?
Well,
that's a lot of questions in one.
It is. I think that everyone believed, even before the crisis, that longer term, as China and Asia become a more significant part of the world economy, we're going to end up with more of a multipolar reserve currency system. That requires a lot of reforms on China's part, a lot of willingness to open the capital market on China's part, which so far China has indicated they're not yet willing to do. They don't feel they have the institutional mechanisms yet. So let's say that's a long-term issue. In the short term, I think right now the key thing to do is to restore confidence in the European situation. That's having a tremendous effect on interest rates, exchange rates.
And today's headlines don't help with that, with UBS as well, but that's for a whole other discussion. Laura Tyson, thank you very much. Professor Laura Tyson
Thank you.
of Cal Berkeley.